Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tinde Dorji. I work as a medical specialist. Right now, I am based in Gelifu Hospital, and this is the first time that we have been able to successfully install REDCap in Bhutan. And right at the moment, we are in the process of giving training to as many people as possible, so that at the end of it, we are able to build a group of REDCap community users so that we are able to help others and help each others. Today's session is going to be a bit of theory, a bit of demonstration, and then you will be able to log into your own account, and then you will be able to have a hands-on experience on your own. So, to begin with, what is REDCap? REDCap is a software. It stands for Research Electronic Data Capture, and it is a secure and web-based platform for building online databases and softwares. It was installed in our university server on 11th of June. And the reason why we are promoting REDCap is because it is a very easy platform, and it is done using your browser. There's no need for you to download and install a software. It's very easy for you to learn, and it has many advanced features that will improve the quality of the data that is being entered in your database. And at the end of it, uh, you can uh, you can export the data into any format. You can export it back to Excel or any other software that you're going to use for your data analysis. For you to use to use REDCap, there are a couple of prerequisites. First one is that you need to be registered with an institution that gives you REDCap any service. For us, we have Geser University, and Mekrit is right now the custodian of REDCap in the university. You should have created your login into your REDCap, and then this login has to be given by your REDCap administrator. The reason is that we need to verify that you are a genuine person. And for you to use REDCap, there are many tutorials on the REDCap website. There are many YouTube tutorials. Now, to give you an overview about where does REDCap come into at the various stages of your research cycle. REDCap comes at a point that is central to data management and data quality management. So we begin using REDCap at the time of data collection. So here, how do you collect your data? Your data you might be collecting from a register, you might be using a questionnaire, or you might be using a proforma. Now in Bhutan, we have been prior to REDCap, we have trained many people on the use of other softwares, and for the use of other softwares, there are a couple of, there are other for the other softwares, there's a very systematic approach into data entry. So one approach is to use the data documentation sheet. So you look at your questionnaire and look at what type of data you are collecting. And for REDCap, you need to create a project in your REDCap account. So you need to log into your account. You need to create a project. So one research would mean one project. And inside that project, you need to design the data collection platform. Here we call it, we use the term instrument. And after you have made your data collection instrument, you need to take into production mode. And then there are several ways for you to enter data. One is that you will employ some data entry operators and they will enter it. You can also make it in the form of a Google link, like survey link, and you can send it to others. You can also make QR codes and paste it somewhere. And at the end of these formats of data entry, then you will be able to export your data into any format. Okay. For this demonstration, I have shared with you one questionnaire on stroke. So the first exercise is to look into the stroke questionnaire and look into what are the types of variables that are there, the text, numeric, dates, and all. Now, this is the questionnaire that I had shared earlier. So in this questionnaire, it is to collect information about stroke and its risk factor. Here we are collecting name, the age in years, sex, male, female. We are collecting the patient ID, which is 11 digits. We are collecting the date and time of admission, date and time of discharge, where they are, rural or urban area. And then we have kept a blank box where you're going to collect the residential address. We have the marital status, and here please pay attention that If the participant is single, you don't ask the number of children, but if they are married or widowed, you'll ask the number of children that they have. We ask for the employment, and if they are dependent or if they have never worked, we don't ask for the monthly income. We have height and weight, and then we will have to calculate the BMI. And then we have smoking status. If they are current smoker, you ask the number of sticks they smoke. But if they never smoked, or if they were past smoker, you don't have to ask the next question. We have the status of diabetes. You collect two sugar readings, and with the two sugar readings, you calculated the average sugar, and then you collect the blood pressure, systolic, diastolic, and finally the outcome. So outcome will be whether the participant had a stroke, yes or no. For REDCap, there are certain terminologies. So we are going to make use of these terminologies again and again. So for each of these are called as variable. So for REDCap, we call it as fields, and each field should have a name, field name, and there are certain conventions that we use. So I would recommend you using this convention. That would mean that each field should have a very unique short name. It should better to use single word, no spaces or punctuations. However, if you are using spaces, REDCap would automatically put an underscore. Better to have shorter field names, because the longer the field names, the more chances that you are going to make mistakes. It has to be all in lowercase. Each field should also have a field label, the type of the field name that you give on the variable, and you will have to identify what type of field type it is. Whether are you collecting text, are you collecting numbers, are you collecting date, or is it a calculated field? For example, examples such as BMI, where you don't need to calculate it manually, the software will do it for you. There are certain character limitations for each field. Do you want it to be filled with one number, two numbers, or no? What limitations, or what is the field length that you need to have? You can control that. The field values, what are the possible values do you want to take in? For example, now if you want males to be 1, females to be 2, and missing to be 9, and then this means that your values should be either 1, 2, or 9. It cannot have any other values. You can also have value labels, which means if 1 is male, then you need to specify what 1 stands for. And at the end of it, for one patient, when you have filled the questionnaire for one patient, it is called as one record. And the set of records, it's called as one form in this in REDCap. And or a couple of forms might make up in it would mean one project. So that this is the example. So each of these are each variables, and in REDCap we call it as fields, and a lot of fields together. All the fields filled for one patient is called a record, and then you store the record in the file or in the project. This is the standard format of the data documentation sheet, where we want you to write the field name, field label, field type, length, the values, and any additional comments. The reason why we ask you to specify the field name is because we want it to be unique. And sometimes what happens is that you might be the one who makes the REDCap file for data entry, and then you are exporting the data, and somebody else is going to do the data analysis. Therefore, for you to communicate without confusion, it is always better to have a data documentation sheet. So for this example, I've prepared the data documentation sheet as shown here. For patient name, the field name is name. There's another convention where we recommend you that for the field name, please do not use any word that is an overlap with the first few letters of the field label, because sometimes when you transport or export the data into some other software, if, for example, if this is name and here if you write it as name, because these two are similar, the software might truncate the word, and then the word may not appear. For example, here the field name is name. Here, if you have written as name of the patient, if name appears first, it might get truncated. Therefore, please use something else that does not overlap with the field name. So we have age, sex, and then, for example, for the name, we want the length to be 20 characters only. So if it's longer than that, we want to truncate it. Patient's age, here we have made the rule that it can be up to 110 years old to include the older patients, but any age more than 110, it means that it's invalid. For sex, 1 is male, 2 is female and missing. And for the others, you can see this now. And I'll share the slides with you, and you can look at the data documentation sheet at your own time. So this is the complete form of data documentation sheet. For example, here, height, it is a 3-digit number in centimeter. Weight is a 4-digit number. That would mean 4 or 5-digit number. That would allow you to take in decimals. And BMI, it's a calculated field. So the formula is here. The height is divided by 100 because it is in centimeter to make it into meters. Okay. To give an overview about the exercise, here you need to log into your REDCap account. What we are going to do is to create a project, and project will be based on the study stroke questionnaire, which I had shared with you earlier. So I am here at redcap.kgums. This is the login where you would have your username and password. You log into it. And then when you log into it, you will see your projects here. So these are the projects that I'm handling right now. For each of the project, the REDCap will give you an automatic project ID number. This is something that will give you. And for this study, there are 7 records that are already filled in. It has 103 fields, which means 103 variables, and there's this only one instrument. And for you to start working on, you will go to new project, okay, and write as dummy project. And for the project's purpose, for right now, you can keep it as just for fun. You scroll down, you select empty project. Why? Because here you want to build your own project. Sometimes you can use existing templates, or you can, there are other ways of doing this. But for now, I would recommend you to start with an empty project, and then you create. Once you have clicked create, then you will get your project title here right in the top as dummy project. Right now you're in the project setup, in the dashboard, project setup dashboard. When you scroll down, you will see first main project settings. This is important because at the end, when you're done, you can click and then this will become a tick. How to design your instrument, you will go here. When you scroll down, there are certain features, and then I'll come to it at a later point. Right now, you have created your project, and now what will you do? You will have to go to design your data collection instrument. So the data collection form in REDCap is known as an instrument, and you will go to online designer, and then online designer will take it on this page. Then you will click on form number 1. Right now it's called as form number 1. This is the auto name that's been given by REDCap. And then you will click here, and then your form is ready. Now, if you want the form to be renamed, you can go and click on this pencil here. You can click on the pencil here or here, and then you can name it as Stroke Questionnaire 2025. Okay, apply it here, and then it's successful. So you have renamed it as Stroke Questionnaire. You are in online designer, and you have made your stroke questionnaire, and then automatically REDCap will assign an automatic record ID, and after that, then you will add the other fields. Now, I'll go to the questionnaire that we have. First variable that we are going to create is socio-demographic details. So this is it has 2 sections. One is the socio-demographic details, and one is this clinical details or the patient details down here. So first we need to create the socio-demographic details. And then second will be name and age. First section that you're going to create, you're going to add fields from here. So you click on add field, and then when you click on add field, you will get this pop-up, and on this pop-up, you'll have to tell what type of variables are you going to collect. So here we are going to collect right now a descriptive. The first section is that you're going to say that it is this section on socio-demographic details. So you will say that this is going to be, so when you click on that, when you click on descriptive text, it opens up like this, and then here you'll have to give your variable name. So it is section 1. You can give the variable name as section 1, and then this was you can actually copy and paste your information here. So this you can when you have given the section heading as socio-demographic details, it will give you this auto font. But if you need to make it, and if you want to, you can use the rich text editor to make other changes, such as making in the center, bold, color change, and so many other things. And after that, what you need to do is this: you need to save. So once you have saved, then you will have this section as socio-demographic details. Okay, then we'll next add another text add field, which is our name. So the name, for name we need to collect text box, which are short text boxes here. And here our variable name, if I remember, was name, and field label is patient name. And okay, and you here you will have to give one or two additional information. One is, if you want this to be a must entered field where you don't want empty response, you need to click yes. This means that it is required, it is a mandatory field to be filled. The second one is this is a patient identifier. So REDCap has a couple of additional advantages. So one is to designate some of the fields as an identifier. This means that if you click this as identifier, later on, when you export the data into some other format, it would mean that you'll have one option where you can block the export of this variable, which means things like your patient name, the patient's identity card can be blocked from being exported. Okay, you have clicked save. Once you have saved, your form looks like this. But this is from the point of view from you making the questionnaire. From data entry operator's point of view, for somebody who enters the data, how does it look? We can go on the left hand side. There's this record status dashboard. You click on it, okay, and you click on add new record, and this is how your form looks like. So this is record ID, is the ID, the sequence number that is automatically given by REDCap. You have the socio-demographic details. This is section header and patient's name that you have written here. So Dawa, something like this. So, and then this is how you will enter your data. So this is how it looks. So once your questionnaire has been filled, then it will show that one record is successfully added. Now let's go back to our own dummy project, and then you can add the second one, which add what is called as this, what is the next one? Age. Okay, you add field. It is a text or a number, and this is the age of the patient and patient's age. Now, because this is a text or a number, you'll have to do what is called as validation and specify what type of information that you want. So the age is an integer. Okay, it is an integer number, and you can give the range. For us, it was minimum was 15. The maximum that age that we wanted was 115. Okay, we will click as this is a required field, and it is not an identifier. So, and then if you want the units of your measurement written, there's something called as field note here. You will mention it here as years. Okay. Now you have saved it. So this is patient's age, and it is coming in. You have to fill it up in years. After you have added each field, you need to go to your record status dashboard and then check whether the field is added or whether the field functions as you desire. Because if you have made everything and then if you check one and you check it at the end, you will get confused. So it's always better to check after, and you have to add every step after you have made the addition. So here I go to add record and then see, for example, now our age was from 15 to 110. So if I enter the age as 120, and if I go to save, then it will give you an alert saying that the value that we need to give you was from this to this range, and then this is beyond your range. So this will prompt your data collector to say that this is a wrong entry. Okay. Now we will go and add the other other variable that was name, age, and sex, which was, will go down, add another field. So for any field with multiple options, there are two options. One is where you can select only single answer, and single answer drop down, which would mean that when you click, it will show you the options. Or there are where all the options are being shown at once, but you can select only single answer. If you can select multiple answers, then this is you have to select the check boxes. So right now we want sex as male or female motion. Here, field label is patient sex. It is a required field. And here, for the option, you'd have to give something. It was, we have male one, female, and missing. You can copy and paste here. Now, if you just need to because we mentioned one option in one line, you need one option in one line, and the moment you go out of this field, REDCap will prompt you like this. So it says that for one, REDCap is auto giving assigning the field value, which is male for one, two for female, and three for missing. You can, for now, you can click yes, but if you go back to our data documentation sheet, by convention, we wanted the missing to be 9. So you can make a small correction here, missing as 9, and then you will save this. This means, see, patient sex, male, female, and missing. And then if you want to make any edits, you will go to this pencil button, edit field. You can, if you want to delete, you can delete this. If you want to reposition this field to above, you can click on this 4-star and move it up like this. Now let's go and edit the field for the sex. For example, now if you want to make the alignment as horizontal, it would make it like this. So male, female, and missing will be horizontal. But if you want to make it as a right vertical, which is convention, you can make it, it will show up like this. Now, how does it look in your data entry dashboard? You will go back to record status. You will add your record. And then male, female is here. So one is male, but you can select only one option. See? And then you can go to the next one. Okay. Now the next variable that we have right now is date of admission and time of admission. So for date of admission, you will go in and your add field, which is you can add field which is short text, number, or date or time. For example, date of admission was DOA, and here field label is date of admission. In your validation, you will have to clarify this, that this is date and in which format. Are you using the DMY, DDMMYYYY? So dates, months, and year, or months, date, and year. You can select the convention from here. If it is time that you're mentioning, whether are you mentioning it hour, minutes, seconds, or only hours and minutes. Here right now we are mentioning only date, months, and year. And in this also you can specify if your data collection period or date of admission period is only from January to December 2025, you can specify that the date of admission, for example, you're collecting data only for 2025, so it has to be 12 2025. You can mention it like this, or you can also mention it like this, till 31st 12 2025. If you mention it like this, then REDCap will automatically make it into format. Okay, it is a required field, and then you will click yes. Now this is your date of admission, and next one is we want to add time of admission. Time of admission, your variable name is TOA, and required field is yes. Validation, you will say that this is the time of admission, hours and minutes. Here you can put in your minimum and maximum ranges. It's a required field, yes. Okay. Now we will go back to your data entry dashboard and see how it looks. For your add, you will go to add new record, and then for your date of admission, you can click today to get your today's date, or for example, now we have said that date of admission should be for any year between in 2025. So for example, if you say 01/01/2024, okay, the moment you go to the next variable, it will next field, it says that it has to be between 2025. So the REDCap will prompt you that the error in data entry. Okay, so you have made the correction as 2025, and okay, and 12:30 was the time of admission, and then you have done and entered. Now some additional features. For example, now if you want to make your date and time of discharge, now it becomes much easy because we already have date and time of admission. You can click on this copy field button. If you copy field, it will make a duplicate of the field, and then you can just make an edit. So it gives the field name as DOA. Here it makes DOA2. This is an auto name given by REDCap. Now you can go back, edit this, and then you can make this as discharge, and date of discharge should be, maybe if you have admitted on 31st of December 2025, maybe you have to allow discharge up till 31st of January 2026. So you have just extended the discharge date. Here DOD is the date of discharge, and you will save it. The same thing will go for your time of admission. You will copy this. When you copy, it will show that TOA2. So this is an auto field name that's given by REDCap, and then you will edit time of discharge, and you can make it as TOD, and you can save it. So it's very easy. The next field that we might add is the residential address. So for you to add the residential address, you will have to click what is called as notes, which will give you a little bit bigger area to write. For example, here the field type is notes, and you can click required, and here you will have a bigger area to write your address. And two more fields that we might have, two varieties of field. Other one is that, for example, now if you have multiple choices of responses that are allowed, for example, previous hospital visit. So if your options are JWNRH, CRH, ERRH, district hospital, or PHC. So the moment you move out of this, REDCap will automatically assign this, and then automatically assign the field values. And if multiple choices of ticks are being allowed, the REDCap will show it as in any square boxes. So if you go to record data and then show this variable field, it shows like this. This would allow you to select multiple choices. So if they have visited all the hospitals, then patients can tick, or the data entry operator can give multiple ticks. Okay. And the last type of variable that may be of interest to you would be how to collect your consent signature. So you will go to Online Designer, and our signature consent should be right at the beginning before we ask anything else. So we can add field in middle as well. So though we have added this many fields, now we remember that we need to add consent. So you go right at the beginning, you add fields here, and you will go to here signature and draw box. Draw signature in a box. It will give you consent, and this is your patient's content signature. You will save this. And now you go to record status dashboard. And when you add your consent, it will come up as like this: patient's consent signature. You will add signature, and you will sign it with your mouse, or if it's in a tablet, it will be much easier. And then you will save this, and your consent signature comes out like this. The additional feature is that you can even attach your consent form. Now it's hands-on practice for you all. Please log into your REDCap account and create the fields that are there in the study questionnaire. Now we'll move on to the next section. In this section, we are going to cover what is called as branching logic. This feature will allow you to hide or show some of the questions based on the responses that a respondent has given. For example, now we are going to put a branching logic on. First, we are going to ask the marital status. If they are married or widowed, we are going to ask the number of children. So for that, it's a three-step process. First is that you need to have both the fields created. So for example, we need to create two boxes. One is marital status. So for the marital status, we have single answer. It has to be single, married, widowed. This is a must enter field. It's a field that's required. You will save. Okay. Now, next field that we want to create is number of children, which is going to be a text and child. And it is a must enter value, or no, not required. No. So first step is that a branching logic only happens between two or multiple variables. You can link a multiple number of fields into a branching logic. And here, what does this mean is that if they are married or widowed, you want the number of children to be mentioned here. This question should appear. If not, this question should not appear in the questions. So you will have to add the branching logic in the field where you are going to hide or show. So here you will click on it. And right next to the pencil, there is this one green arrow that shows branching logic. Green. You click on the branching logic, and there are two ways to put your branching logic. One is by your syntax, where if you are good with coding, you can use this. But for others, you can use this drop and drag and drop builder. This would mean that what is the condition that you're going to say? You're going to say that if the marital status, you have to scroll down, and if your marital status is married, married equals to 2. And if your marital status is widowed, married equals to 3. If any of the below, if any of them, when they enter the data for marital status, if it is any of them are true, if they have ticked married or if they have ticked widowed, it will show you this question. This means that you will save it, and here the information comes up that branching logic married to, if they are married or widowed, this question will pop up. How does this function? We will go back to the record status dashboard, and right now, if you are at this marital status, the number of children, the field is not there. If you click single, it will not appear. If you click married, the number of children, the question will pop up. So this is a very useful feature where your skip function, it functions really well, and then it is an interactive feature. Next one is we can use the branching logic on your income status. And then the next field was, for example, occupation. Okay. We want number of occupation. So which is the same thing here. If it is employment, for the employment, we want it to be radio buttons, and the income. So for this, we want to add the branching logic to the field where the second field where for monthly income, drag and drop. And if the employment is, if the occupation, if the employment is government job or private company, then you will say that you will ask the question on income. So here you have added your branching logic. You will go to your record in your data entry dashboard, you will add new record and then see. For example, if you are dependent, the question does not come. If you have never worked, the question doesn't appear. And if you're clicking government job or private company, it should work. So if this does not work, then you will there's something wrong with the logic that you have mentioned. You will have to go back, and then this is the very reason why you need to test it at the end of every after making every field. So here branching logic Nalodi, we'll have to go, it's not all, if any of them are true, you have to click the any of them, not all of them. So the logic was wrong there. Now you will go back to your record entry dashboard, enter new data, and if it is dependent or never worked, it will never not come up. If it is government job, your monthly income the dashboard will come here. Thus. Now this is the end of branching logic. Then the next feature that I would like to show is how to create a calculated field. We'll first start with the BMI. And for you to make a calculated field, this would mean that to calculate, there is a formula. On the formula, there's this two fields that will on the left hand side and right hand side. So if you want to calculate BMI, you need to have the height and weight. If you want to add the total, you need to have the individual components where you can sum or add or divide. So for now, let's add the field of height, weight, and let's calculate BMI. For you to make the height, it is a text value first. The variable name is height. Patient height. It is a number that is going to be in the field note of centimeter. Okay. And it is a required field. You can put a range here, but right now I'm not putting the range. The next one is you'll have to add your patient. You can copy this to make it easier, make it edit and make it as weight, make this as weight, and here you are in kg. Now with this, you are going to create a calculated field where you go to add field. From here, you will select what is called as calculated field. The field name is BMI, and for your BMI, body mass index. Now, the moment you have selected calculated field, it will show you what equation do you want to use. So there are a couple of standard formats for you to remember right now. To calculate your height, weight, and your BMI is calculated as weight in kg by height in meter square. So right now we remember that our height is in centimeter. So you'll have to play around with the equation. So first equation is BMI Gnalu. You will have to say that you will have to divide the weight. So when you click on this equation, the logic editor will come out, and you will click you will enter your formula here, and if everything is correct, it will be green. And when you close this pop-up, if things are correct, it will allow you to close. If the syntax is wrong, the software will tell you that there's something wrong, so you need to go and look back at it. So right now we want to calculate height, weight, the BMI, where the formula is that you'll have to calculate it using one weight. So for you, for REDCap, the variable name by convention has to be in square bracket, this one, like this. Okay. Now, a couple of conventions. If you start a square bracket or if you start any parenthesis, you have to close it. Okay. And another convention, if you start a quotation mark, you have to close the quotation mark. So here you are saying that if you want to divide the weight, so you start with first open the quotation mark, open the square bracket, and it will prompt you which variable do you want to select and put it into the formula. The reason why I prefer to keep very short variable names is because when you type in, you make less mistakes. But if you have written a very long one, you can also and you pick it up from here. So here, where is our height? So right now we want to divide the weight. Weight. The moment you have selected from your drop down, it means that the name of the variable, name of the field name here is correct. If you type in, you might make some mistakes. And then here you want to divide the height first by 100. So you can divide the height by 100. This would mean that this is one height by 100. Height is now in meter. The same thing you want to multiply it again. Why? Because you want to make it square. This would mean that you'll have to put this into a parenthesis square bracket. This one, the same thing is you will have to multiply the same thing twice to make it a square. So you can copy and paste it. So this is the formula. Weight in kg by height in meter square. And then when you click update and close the editor, there was no prompt. It means that it was correct. So this is the formula that is here, and you will save it. Okay. You can also view the equation here, whether the equation was correct or not. So weight, height, everything. So this will show you your equation. Now let's see whether we are correct or wrong. You will go to record status dashboard. Okay. You will add your record. And right now we are going directly to height and weight. Let's say we are saying height of 160 centimeter and weight of 65 kg, and we are saying body mass index is 65. Okay. I think something is wrong. There was some syntactical error. When you look into, obviously this is not the BMI, which would mean that something was wrong in your equation, and this something that was wrong must have been the way you have written your formula. You will go to edit field. Okay, this would mean that right now this was functioning as weight was getting divided. We were thinking that height and weight, first it'll get squared and then it will divide. So we had forgotten to put one, we had forgotten to tell the software that this has to be performed first. So we need to put one additional parenthesis, close. And now we go back to record status dashboard, add record, and 160, let's say 65. Now let's see. So now it is correct. Height of 160, weight 65, the BMI is 25 point something. So it gives you in a lot of decimal points, which means that you can check whether this 160 and 65, whether it gives you the same BMI. But this is the correct one. Now, because it gives you a lot of decimal points, if you don't want decimal points, you can add another feature, which is like in Excel, you can round it up. And you can, for round up, you will have to go back to your project, edit the formula, and say that you will have to round it down to 1 or 2 decimal points, whichever you like. So Ani Naludi, we'll go to edit your BMI, and what do you have to do here? You click here, you are saying that you are giving the command here is round down. What do you do the round down for? You round down everything and to what decimal point, comma 1 decimal point. So you will save this and you go back to record dashboard. You enter the data, 160, weight of 65, and then now it gives you up to only 1 decimal point. Yeah, Lasso. Any questions so far? The next feature that you can actually, the next feature that you might want to have is the date of number of hospital days, where you can subtract it from the dates. So for that, what you need to do is to create one field. For example, if you want to make a subtract the date of discharge from date of admission and create a field called hospital days, we'll add field here. We'll make it as a calculated field, number of hospital days. The variable name is hospital days, and the calculated field here is, you will have to say that the calculated field hospital for the hospital stay duration, the formula is that first you will have to say that you'll have to find a difference between the two variables. So what is the difference? One is date of discharge, the difference between date of discharge and date of admission, GOA, and date of admission. Amongst these, what do you want to do? You will have to subtract the number of days from the format which was stored as DNY. So let's say this is the function that you need to do, and what is the name of the function? Date diff. So date of difference between date of discharge and date of admission. What are you subtracting? You're subtracting the days from the format dates, months, and years. So let's save this, and saving is done. You go to record status dashboard. For example, date of admission was 10th of July 2025, and date of discharge was provided outside the suggested range of, okay, let's say 1/12/2025. Okay, so touching 12, so 10th of December 2025, and date of discharge is 13th of December 2025. The number of days should be 3, which is correct here. Okay, so this will automatically give you a corrected deduction of the number of days or the hospital stay. With this, we finish 2 important components, but one is the branching logic and the other one is calculated fields. First, let's have some theory on what is meant by calculated fields. It means that you are going to enter a couple of fields, and then the third or the fourth field, or based on the formula, the software is going to calculate you a field or the value of it. The example that we are using right now is you are filling height and weight, and the software to calculate the body mass index. Now for this, there are 3 steps. First is you have to create all the fields that are going to feed into your formula. So right now here you are going to create height and weight, because it is going to feed into your formula, which is here, weight in kilogram and height in meter. And you will also have to create a field that is going to hold the calculated value, that is the BMI. Now in this, here when you are making the height, this is how you make the variable for adding field for the height. Now when you're making for the BMI, from the type of field, you will select as calculated field here. And for the calculated, when you make it as a calculated field, an equation bar will open up at the bottom. So when you click on it, you will have the logic editor bar. Now, some rules here, the conventions which the software will understand is that all the field names, for example, height, for height, I have written as HT, but if you have written the field name as HEIGHT, it is the same thing, but you'll have to mention it in square brackets. So field names must be in square bracket. First rule. The second rule is if you are starting the square bracket, the field name has to be in square bracket. If you are starting the square bracket, please do not forget to close the square bracket. Because if you do not close it, then the software will because it's incomplete, the software will not understand. The second useful feature is that if you keep space between the mathematical functions like plus or minus or divide, then it's easy for the software. And if your software, if anything is wrong with the syntax, the way in which you have written your formula, there is going to be an error bar or error prompt that will tell you that there's an error in the expression. Now, example, the formula here is height by. Now, first we need to understand that here our height is in centimeters. So we are dividing the height by 100 centimeter so that it becomes in meter. And that thing has to be, you are making it in square, so you need to have two parentheses. Now in the earlier example, it was a mistake if we didn't put in another parenthesis because of the mathematical expression. So therefore, you need to have this double parentheses. So that is why whenever you create a new field, you go to the data entry dashboard and try and see whether it works then and there, because it will be very difficult to find out mistakes later on. Okay. The example was like this, and then the example, because for you to see whether whatever you have calculated is correct or not, you'll have to see it using an online calculator or doing it manually. You'll have to confirm. For example, when we put height of 160 and weight of 65, the value given was 25.39, which is also same as that you were when you calculate it from an online calculator. Okay. Now, in the next step, what we did was we did a round down function for the whole of the thing to round down your decimal points into one. You can select 1 decimal point or 2 decimal point. It's up to you. Okay, so after your round down function, it shows you like this. Okay. For the number of days, what you need to do is you'll have to calculate the number of hospital days by date of discharge minus the date of admission. In which here for date of admission, we have set it as DOA and DOD for date of discharge. Well, now the same rule applies. You'll have to define all the fields that will go into the formula and all the field that is going to hold the calculated value. So the calculated value, it will be like this. So date of admission here, you're copying it, date of admission here, date of discharge here, date of admission, date of discharge. And then the formula here is that you are making a calculated field, and for the calculated field, you have kept the name as duration, and in a mathematical expression you are going to do like this. Date of discharge here, you don't have to do minus sign, you'll have to put a comma, date of discharge, and the difference between date of discharge and date of admission, that is going to be calculated based on what? Based on from you have entered your date as date, month, and year. So they are going to calculate in terms of number of days. So it has to be date difference, date of discharge, and date of admission. And that is going to be calculated from the dates of the DMY format. And it is going to be like this. Okay. Anyway, I will show you the recalculation. Show you again. Let me show you again. Body mass. For the body mass index, you go here, you have created the field. Now, after you have, this has to be a calculated field. So you go to calculation of the field. So I'll make it a little bit bigger. First, let's imagine it like this. You'll have to convert your height into centimeters. So your height is going to be here like this, and when you divide it with 100, it means your height is in meter. Now the whole thing you will have to put it in one parenthesis and multiply it again so that you make it a square of the height square in meters. Now the whole thing has to be performed first, and then you'll have to divide this with your weight, kg divided by meter square. So weight divided by. Now this is going to calculate your BMI. Now for the whole thing, if you want to do reduce it to 1 or 2 decimal point, then you'll have to use the function called as round down. Now, what are you rounding down? You're rounding down everything of it. So you'll have to say that you have to round down everything of it and round down within 1 or 2 decimal point. So 1 decimal point here, 2 decimal point here, which means there will be what you need to notice is that if you have started a parenthesis, you have to close it. If you have started a square bracket, you have to close it. If you're giving a command in the front, you'll have to tell the software what is the command valid for. This round down command is valid for the whole thing here, and here onwards is the command on how many decimal points it needs to round down to. So now you'll say close the equation update editor, now save, and you will always have to go back and check. So when you check, your height is in 160 centimeter, weight is now 50, and then the moment you click down, it is 19.53 in 2 decimal points. And you can go and look into the equation, and then the equation is weight divided by height in meters square, and reporting up to 2 decimal points. With this, we complete the function on calculated fields. Now we will go into another feature of REDCap that makes it very interactive. That is something called as piping. Now, piping is one feature that is to personalize your study questionnaire. For example, here we are writing patient's name. See, when you look into this questionnaire, you're writing patient's name, but in the next field, you're saying patient's sex. So in some cases, if you want to personalize it, something like if whatever the patient's name is here, if you want the name to appear here, this would mean that the data entered in one field is now going to appear as the field label of another field. Then you need to use one function called as piping. Now for piping, it is very simple. You have, for example, now you have added as patient sex here. You go and edit your field, and then instead of patient, you will say that now here you'll have to remember that what are you going to piping function piping functions between two variables. So you want to get the name entered here to appear here, which means what is the field what is the name of the field here? The field name is NAME. Now you will edit this in the next function, and then you will say that rather than saying patient sex, you will delete this, and as convention for REDCap, you will always have to use it in square brackets. So you'll say that name and comma inverted comma this patient's sex. So let's see how it functions. Now what appears is that here is patient name, and this is now we have inserted a piping function here. Now, when you go to your questionnaire in your data entry dashboard, let's see how it appears. See, you have patient's name here, and earlier it was patient sex. Now it does not appear as patient sex. It appears as a blank. Now, when you enter, for example, dawa dukpa. The moment you go to the next one, it says at what is dawa dukpa sex. So this is for you to personalize your data collection form. This is very simple. Now on, we will move on to a little bit of more advanced features. That is, if you look back into your data collection, if you look back into your data documentation sheet, so far we have covered making the fields, we're adding the field label, the field type. Now we are coming more to a little bit advanced features. So what is recommended as a rule in REDCap is that first you make the general skeleton, and then later on add on to your more complex rules. Now let's go and say that now you want your ID card number to be only 11 digits, and say that it has to be with ID card. We are going to add 3 features. One is to say that it must be 11 digits. If it is more than 11 digits, it should block. If it's less than 11 digits, it should prompt. And if it is if somebody else now enters the same ID card again, now it should also prompt saying that it is a unique ID and it has already been taken, or the data has already been entered. So it should prompt you. First, let's go with the putting a character limit on, saying that it must be 11 digits. Where is patient's ID? Okay, patient's age. Okay, I have not even created the first, I have not even created the patient ID variable in ID. So you are creating the patient's identity card number. That is going to be an integer number, and it is must be a must enter number. Now, for this, what the feature that will control the character limit is a feature that is being given by what is called as an action tag. So here at the bottom of your field, there's this one box called action tag. You click onto the action tag, and then it will prompt your logic editor, or you will go to you can click the action tags here and you can search for it. So if you're unable to remember the action tags, you will search for it. For example, like, should it be a default count? Should it be hidden? Should it be today's date? For example, date of data collection. It should always be today's date. So you can automatically put in and say that the moment the data collector goes into that the date of data collection form, it must automatically enter today's date. So for our ID card, we need a character limit of 11 digits. So this is the action tag that we need to select. So here, an action tags always begin with an @ symbol here, and here we have the action tag called character limit. So you will copy this, and this is the action tag that is required. You will put the action tag here, character limit, and then what is the character limit that you want to add in? You will say that you want to add in the character limit as 11 digits. So in the logic editor, you have added character limit is 11 digits, and now you will say that you have closed it and you save. Okay, ID card number must provide value. Okay, and character limit function action tag is here. Now you will go to your record status dashboard. You will enter your record, and now it will show you something as 11 characters remaining, which means you have not entered any data. The moment you are entering, for example, 1, 2, 3, anyway, as you go on entering your characters, it will it will show you the remaining spaces that you have: 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is one character. After 11, no matter what number you add, it will say that it is 0. It will only change the last digit. It means that it is there are no more space for you to enter the characters. So you have entered as this character limit, and then you have entered this ID card number, and then you will save the form. Okay. Now the second function is that if you want your ID, if you want the ID card number, if you want a prompt, if the ID card number is less than 11 digits, then you will have to go to something. You will have to create an additional rule or data quality rule, which you can get from the left hand side corner. You will go to here, data quality, click on data quality, and then you will have to define the rules. Now, what are the rules that you're going to define? So on this data quality, there are a couple of rules here. One is that this is the place where you will, in the right hand box is the place where you will enter your rule. On the left hand box, it is the name of the rule. For example, whatever name that you would like to give. So here, the logic or the rule that you want to make is that your UID, so for the variable, your variable name always has to be in square brackets. So for the length of the variable of the unique ID, this is the length function. Length of the variable of the unique ID has to be, this one has to be 11 digits. So this is the way you will tell the software. So you are saying that the length of UID has to be 11 digits, and you will save it. And the name of the rule is 11, we will call it as rule of 11 digits. Once you have made the rule, then you'll have to tell at what point of time the software needs to apply this rule. So you'll have to tell them that the software that you have to apply it at the time of data entry, because you want to give a prompt during to the data entry personnel, and then you click on it and you will add the rule and it will go up to the rules added. See, length. Now your rule is added, and then let's go and see if your rule functions. Now you go to your add data record, and then you will say that, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, you have set. Okay, and next one, the rule will the prompt will come only at the time of saving your record. Now let's say that you have kept all the others empty and you have moved to the next one, and then it will say, okay, this is saying that all the must enter fields have been kept empty. We'll say okay. Then now it is giving a rule saying that UID is 1, 2, 3, 4 fields involved, and saying that it is breaking the rule of 11 digits. So this is how you are going to say that you're going to get a prompt on not meeting the character requirements. And before you go and save, then you will have to go and correct your ID card number. Okay. And the next function on your ID card is that you want your ID card to remain unique. And if it has already been entered, then you will have to get a prompt saying that it was already entered. For this, you will have to go to your project, and under project setup, you will have to have additional customizations. So under the project setup rule, because for REDCap, there's already a record ID which REDCap assigns as a unique ID, but that is something auto-generated, and right now you want our patient's ID card number to be the unique ID. So you'll have to go to additional customization, and you'll have to designate a secondary unique field here. And when you click on secondary unique field under additional customization, then you'll have to select which field are you saying that it has to be unique. So you're saying that patient's UID has to be unique, and then you will have to save it. Okay. After you have saved it, say changes have been saved successfully. Let's go and see if it functions. Now let's go and add new record. And we have earlier we have entered this ID number, and let's say that we are going to go again, and then if you are entering this same UID again, it will give you a prompt saying that this is a unique ID number and that has already been used. So with this, we finish 3 quality check parameters. One is adding the character limit, the maximum character limit. The second one is if they do not meet the required number of characters, you can create a rule. The third one is you are creating a separate unique ID for the record. With this, we have come to the end of making your questionnaire in REDCap, which is called as making your instrument. Now let's see the 3 options that they are there for data entry. First one is to employ a data entry person, and then that person is going to enter the data for you, or that person is going to be yourself. You're going to enter it yourself. The second option is to send out a survey link like a Google link. And the third option is to collect your data using your mobile phone or a tablet. Okay. Now for that, if you want to enter your data by a data entry operator or another person that is employed under you or your research assistant, they can just go into data entry. You can go into your data record status dashboard, and you can add your record, and then you can go on entering data and then save it. Now, once you have saved it at the record status dashboard, there are a couple of color codings. If it is red, it means incomplete. So for all the demonstrations, I've entered a couple of data here and there, and these are all incomplete records. So it means red is incomplete. Yellow is unverified, which means the data entry operator has to verify that it is complete, and the green ones are the ones that shows that it is a complete set of record. Now, this is very easy for a data entry person. Now, how do you add your data entry person? For example, now you are the one who has created this project and you are employing 3 other people who are going to enter your data in your database. For all the 3 persons who are going to enter your data, they'll have to have their own REDCap account that has to be created by our admin. And based on your because you own the data, you can create what is called as, you can click on right hand side, there's this user rights, and on the user rights you can click on the user rights and you can add users whose accounts have already been created by the admin. This means that you cannot, because you're not an admin, you cannot create user account for any other person. Now, that's why you need to remember the user ID of the second person. For example, now if I want to add again as the data entry operator here, I'll click here on his name and you can add this person. After when I add this person as a data entry operator, I can decide on the access, the level of access that I can give. This would mean that if I give him all the access, he can edit the questionnaire, he can delete the question, he can do everything. But the final access would be whether that person is allowed to download all the data, yes or no. So right now I'm giving him all the access except no access to export the data, which means he's data entry operator, he can enter the data, but at the end he cannot steal and go away, go away with the data. I've added the user, and once I have added the user here, then you can see the level with the different types of access that he has. He can control so many things, and he has no access to so many other things. Okay. And then on Ugens, when I've added the data entry operator, he can log into his own REDCap. He can go into his record status dashboard and he can go and enter the data. So this is the simplest one, and especially if you are using multi-center study, or if you're using one database and you are entering data from different parts of the hospital. This is a very good platform where you can create your database and then you can give access to different individuals. This is the first and the most easy one. Now, the second one is to send out your survey as a survey link where people can click on a link and then they can fill the questionnaire. For this, you'll have to go to project setup. And you will, on the main project settings, you will have to enable this as a survey here. So once you have clicked enable, you will have to, it gets saved, it becomes green. It means that you have, there are 2 things happen. So once you enable the survey, it becomes green. And then on the left-hand side, a new prompt comes in where you will say that there'll be an option for survey distribution tools. How are you going to distribute a survey? You click on it, and on the first one, until you have enabled, okay. For you to use the survey distribution tool, you will have to, once at the project setup, you'll have to enable the survey, and you'll have to go to the questionnaire and also click enable again. Now, when you are enabling the questionnaire, then there are many options that allows you to make changes. For example, now you can write a cover letter, you can change the font, you can change the color, you can make it in the form of a continuous flow, like something like this, or you can split up the questionnaire into multiple number of pages. There are so many other options, but for now you'll keep everything as standard, and then you go at the very end, and then you can click as save changes. Then after you have saved the change, after you have made the survey, there are many other options. One is you can distribute the questionnaire instrument as a PDF. For example, like you can click on it, your questionnaire will get downloaded like this. I hope you're able to see my screen. And whatever questionnaire you have made it, REDCap will give you a very nicely formatted PDF. Or you can go back to your survey settings. You will go back to your survey distribution tool. And on the survey distribution tool, there are several options. One is to copy the link here. You will have to click on this copy file icon. You can copy the link, it's always recommended to copy the link using this one rather than you doing and highlighting it, because sometimes you might fail to highlight or copy 1 or 2 digits and then your survey link will not open. So better to copy here and then copy this link and distribute it in email or in WhatsApp groups. You can also create QR codes for your survey by going into here, survey access code. You can click on it and then there is a survey access QR code. This QR code also, there's no need for you to screenshot. You can copy this and then it will save it as a very good picture with good resolution and image with good resolution that you can print and keep it anywhere. Or you can download this file in a very high standard definition called SVG format. And this is opens as SVG. Sometimes it opens in some phones, it doesn't open sometimes, but you'll have to see which one of them functions. The advantage of SVG is that when you zoom out, all the resolution remains intact. If you just copy the image from here, when you zoom out, the resolution might not be that good. But in both ways, it functions. The last method of data collection is that the other option is that you will use mobile phones or tablets to collect your data. This happens like in large surveys where you are going to whether an interviewer is going to go to the field, interview persons using a tablet or a phone. So for this, you'll have to go to your project setup and you'll have to enable what is called as MyCap. So MyCap is the mobile phone application that is going to be installed in a tablet or a phone. And first you'll have to enable this. So when you enable this, when you click enable, for me it works because for me it works because I've already used I've already asked for access to my REDCap account to use MyCap. For you, if it doesn't work, don't worry. At the first setting, you just click enable, and then if this doesn't prompt up, you just contact your REDCap admin, and the REDCap admin is can enable MyCap on your account. So for now, I have it has become green and it will work. And then when you scroll down, there's a link here where you can set your MyCap key settings. How do? You can go on here, and then for the person to see it on their mobile phone, you can add descriptions, you can add photos, so that this is something that is going to make it interactive and easy for people to use it on their phone. And after you have added all the details, then you will have to say that you will have to publish your MyCap version after you have made all the settings, and then you can make it a preview. So when you make the preview, this is going to show you how it would look in your mobile phone. The second part to this is that after you have published your MyCap version, I have clicked publish, and then the other person will have to download MyCap from the App Store or your Google Play Store or Apple App Store, and then from there you will have to create your account, and then you will have to link it with your MyCap using a certain score, a certain code or link here. So there are certain you can create link here, or you can give some certain QR codes with which you will have to link the device, mobile phone or tablet, with the survey that you have created here. So with this, we end the 3 methods of data collection. First one by entering the data by a data entry operator. The second one is sending out survey link using a Google with a URL or a QR scan. And the third one is using mobile phones or tablets for collection of your data using handheld devices. Any questions so far? Now we are coming to the last part, that is after you have made everything final, what do you have to do is that, as you realize, as you have seen right now, during the process of making the forms, we end up entering a lot of dummy data to test whether whether the features of the form is working or not. That is why if you keep as it is, and if you just share the survey link, And then if real data are also getting entered, then there'll be a mix of your dummy data and your real data. Therefore, what is recommended is for you to move your project setup, and until this stage you can modify your questionnaires, you can add your questionnaires, you can do so many things. For example, now you have added male and female, but you can add additional options. You can basically edit everything in your form or your instrument. However, if you keep on editing your form even during data collection, it means that there's no consistency. Therefore, after you have finalized everything on your instrument, it is recommended that you freeze further development, because you have considered that all your form making to be adequate till now. So after that, you will have to freeze your form development and then go into what is called as production. So where in your project setup, you will go down, scroll down, and then say that you'll move your project to production. This means that from hence you will not be making any edits to your form, and if you make any edits to the form, that form has to be, or your instrument has to be saved as a new form or a new instrument or a new version. So when you move to projection, then it will give you a couple of options. So right now I'm clicking as I'm creating this means that I'm taking the form to production, and now I'm going to do real data collection. This will give you prompts. Now it will say that so far 8 records have been entered, which are all partially filled. They'll say, do you want to keep or delete? Because these are all dummy ones, I'm saying that I'll delete. Yes. And then I'm deleting everything and I'm moving to production. So once I've moved into production, see your main project settings, it becomes a click, which means there are no more changes in the settings going to be there, and your production is complete. Now you're no more going to make the change to your form. And what does this mean? Let's go to our record status dashboard. We had 8 data and now it is all clean, 0 data, which means all the dummy data has been cleaned. Now your form is ready for your real world data collection. Once you have reached this, if you go to your project setup, dummy project, when you go to other functionality, you would see that from development, it has now moved into production. Okay, now with this, you have made your forms, you have made into production, and now you are going to collect real data. After this, the last part, once you have entered all your data, how are you going to export it into other formats? You might do the data analysis in any other software, and you will have to export your data. So when you export your data, for example, right now in my dummy project, there are no data. So I have data, for example, in this pretest. So when you look into your project dashboard, I have one study that is going on. It has 7 data entered. It has this pretest that has 26 data entered, and there are other data where this many records have been entered. So let's say that we will export this project, which has 27 records. So when I go into it, it has 27 records, and then now I'm going to export the data. Now, because this project was created by myself, I can export the data. And if there were other people who were allowed to enter the data, their names would appear here, and they may or may not be able to export the data depending upon the level of access that you have given. So I'm going to export my data. I'm going to go here on the left-hand corner, and there's this data export option. I click on the data export option, and then they are saying, which one are you going to export? Are you going to export only if there are multiple forms? Are you going to export on form 1 or 2, or are you going to export all? So right now, let's say I'm going to export all. So when I click on export all, it gives you a couple of options. Are you going to export in Excel or Excel with labels? Are you going to export in SPSS, SAS, R, and Stata? Now I'm aware I use Stata and I'm aware of using R. So Stata it comes out in 2 formats. It has the data in DTA format, and then it will also have the codes in another format, another file. For R, the data will be in one file, the codes will be in another file, R script. and then it will allow you to download both the files together. Now, the most important feature about data security is here, that it will ask you whether you want to remove all the identifiers like name and ID card which you have collected. Do you want to remove them at the time of data at the time of exporting your data? You can click yes, export the data without the identifiers, and then which format are you going to export? So right now I'm going to export it. You can use a CSV format as well. I'm going to export in data, and I'm going to click without the identifiers, which means I'm not going to collect the ID cards and the names. And ID cards and names are not going to get exported. So I go and to export, and then it will say that your two files. So these are the softwares that require two files. So both of them will have to run it download it independently, and then you will be able to run the codes in the other software and see the data. So with this, we have come to the end of the tutorial. We have covered introduction to REDCap, the important features of first making your data collection instrument with basic features, and then adding on to additional data quality features, taking the project into production where you freeze your development of the form, you go into real data collection mode. You can collect the data in three formats. Either you enter the data, you can send out survey links, or you can collect it using mobile applications. And at the end, there are many features to export your data in the format required for any other statistical analysis software.